Hi Taurus, this is going to be deep reading. What can I tell you in summary? You're going from free yourself of deception, learning to trust. You're learning to kind of like be attractive and attract again, and guess what? You're being rewarded with chemistry. So let's go in more details. Let's start. Hi Taurus, and welcome to your Gemini transit reading. So that is like 21st of May to 21st of June. First of all, hopefully you had beautiful birthdays. So happy belated to all of you who celebrated. And this transition was very important. During your transition, many things basically started to happen. The seed has been planted with basically Uranus entering your sign, and that's going to be really big for the next 7 years. This is going to resonate, so maybe it is a time for you to look back to what you have done. And if you are reading this in the really beginning of this release of this reading, you still have 3 days to set intentions, to kind of focus where you want to go, and to really roll up your sleeves and show to the universe that you really want to head there. There is also some work that I see here that needs to happen on the inside. I see here forgiving and learning. And it says, as you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. Well, that goes without saying. I always compare this card with a glass of water. That if it's left on its own, it starts to generate life. So you basically can create new life. But all this kind of like muddy and murky stuff that is going to be born in that glass of water, in order to kind of clean the dirt, you need to pour clean stuff in. And the more clean stuff you put in, the more kind of like gunk gets out. It's going to be really clearing and releasing. That kind of like is really important. I know this is kind of like not going to be ordinary new moon, and Uranus in your sign is going to feel like a weirdo visiting you for 7 years, and sort of like your shower is always going to be full of hair and toothpaste left everywhere. You know, you will really want to strangle someone because you know who you are and how you really want to experience things is not really what's going to be happening on the outside. So the solution, like stillness. This is a really lovely card, and it's kind of like really where I was just for the last 2 hours. And I live close to what is called High Park area in Toronto, and this is like sort of a park like the Central Park in New York, that kind of has its own lake, it has its own river. It has been given to the city of Toronto by an individual whose wife basically suffered mental disease, and he kind of lived there with her and even created her an art studio. So it is really peace, that it is like a place where commercial stuff is not allowed. There is only one restaurant, and there is like no alcohol in the entire park. And it is absolutely lovely place. We have tennis courts there, we have swimming pool, there is ice skating in the winter, outdoors ice skating, and then you have the animals, kind of like mini zoo. It is like really kind of like feast for the senses, and it is like feast that we keep forgetting. This was kind of like more or less 20th century, and you can hear Safi. I think she probably might join us in a reading because she feels this kind of is important. So this looks like early morning here to me, and the lake itself is kind of like awakening from its rest, and it's kind of like very still and undisturbed, right? And lake is always kind of grace and fluidity, and look at this vegetation around it thrives. It almost looks like either a lush summer or a beautiful spring over here, right? We even see an occupied boat, right, that is waiting for the next passenger. Is this going to be you? Because kind of like you need to imagine that you can enter right now this deep internal stillness and find your own self and unite yourself with who you really are. I have a feeling that maybe the tempo of your life started to speed up, and kind of like maybe there is like no end of kind of quickening pace of everything that is going on. Sometimes we are also very immersed in technological whirlpool and we cannot escape. We are on the go 24/7. We're getting emails at midnight. Everybody expects to be kind of like replied to. And sometimes things are just simply going crazy. You see, this is also part of boundaries. Like, you know, in France, I think this is not allowed. Nobody can even send you an email late if after 5 o'clock. And this is it. I think we have to fight it for here ourselves. And starting point is boundary. You know, just allow yourself this stillness. Disallow yourself that hurry up syndrome, because you are going to eventually be trapped. You're going to become that very mud that you will need to clean, right? So you have to reduce the noise from your environment, and that also applies to non-stop thinking. And thinking is becoming disease these days, that we are kind of even processing our emotions via thinking. And there are two completely different methods. It's fat and muscle is not the same. So it's not a thinking and emotion. I would say kind of like spend some time and stay away from human-made noise and go and find stuff inside of yourself. Because doing that is not only going to relax your mind, but it's kind of like going to heighten your awareness and your senses. You're also getting this Four of Pentacles. It is definitely earthy element, and when I see this card, I always think somebody who is just protective of everything that, you know, the kitty has. This box most likely is full of toys. And sure, it is nice and comfy being on top of it. And there is like this relaxation and kind of like leave me alone kind of attitude. But look at the ears. Ears are thinking. Ears are like a little satellite antennas. And they're like zooming the environment. And the environment is possibly calling the kitty, hey, let's engage. Hey, let's do stuff. Hey, you have some toys. Let's kind of like do it. And again, you need to kind of like go and figure out what stabilizes you, what destabilizes you. And I have a feeling that your family and your loved ones are going to be the feature this month. Especially if you had birthdays, you probably already have been going through the stage of revisiting and cherishing people around you and realizing actually how much you're cherished. You know, people don't have to come and show up for your birthday. People don't have to do it. And if they do it, whether or not it's done and delivered in the best possible way, they are thinking about you. They are loving you. Otherwise, you know, there will be no need for them to kind of like bother with that kind of like niceties. So let's see what you have on the bottom of the decks. Separation. Time apart from your partners on the horizon. So that can be romantic separation, that can simply be a physical separation. We will see more about that. And then you have the High Priestess. You know, I really think this is separation from technology, to be honest. And because this is the card of going deep inside of ourselves, finding Nemo kind of a thing, right? Separation is really talking about disconnecting of everything, the messaging and other people's expectations. That's what I see. Especially here I have Ace of Pentacles, and again it is something being built, something new start, fresh. Maybe you finished one book, maybe you didn't like this book, maybe you did like that book, maybe the book got really busy toward the end, but right now let's start again. Let's kind of like set a new stage. So let's see what we have. Past life relationship and deception. this could be the one. Free yourself. Healing family issues and forgiving and learning. Playfulness. Worth waiting for. Attraction. Trust. And chemistry. So let's leave these two cards out to kind of remind me that that was there, and see what is coming out in combination. Knave of Pentacles. Woo, Seven of Swords. Ace of Wands. King of Wands. Temperance. Whoa, Three of Swords. Eight of Pentacles. King of Cups. Three of Cups reversed. And Four of Wands reversed. Now, that is kind of like weird. But let's start. Let's start working through it and threading through it and see where we get. For yourself. I think somebody in the past, and this probably goes back to the separation. Somebody got freed. And somebody also felt, look, I feel almost like a captive over here. I feel that you don't appreciate me. Look at this unicorn right here. It is like a tiny little fence. This unicorn doesn't belong here. And honestly, for the longest time, for me, it's very, very kind of like hard to like think of unicorn, of anything else, as like this very special thing that each of us has it inside of us. This is kind of like the third eye beaming out. You had your vision, you had your path. Maybe you wanted with somebody else. Maybe you stayed around because you appreciate somebody, but something didn't work out. Ace of Wands, right? In the upright situation, it would talk about growing and beaming. But when it comes, look, it's such a beautiful rendition of this card, right? And look at this joy for something completely new, fresh. It's almost like seeing the next generation. But in this case, that kind of like doesn't work. And this is definitely you. You maybe didn't find this works, or somebody else didn't find that it works with you, and hence establishing this new vision and new horizon, going in this like next way, kind of couldn't be balanced out. This is kind of a very interesting card because look at these two wands. One is loose and one is bolted to the wall. So there is like a part of past and then the future, and kind of like a wonder, okay, in which direction do I go, right? How do I actually continue with this? Kind of like very, very, very important card. When this reverses, it comes to talk about confusion. It comes to talk about indecision. It comes to talk about, you know, there was kind of hesitation. Maybe it was a few back and forth in this kind of situation, and it's kind of interesting because you actually do have three kings so far in this whole thing, and kings are basically masters. It's an entire thing where the development has to get there. Maybe it was a time for you to experience something else, and sometimes karma pushes other people in. They even abandon you, but that is like done in your best possible, you know, karma is doing that because this is supposed to be a lesson you're learning. It's in your best possible interest to kind of do that, even though it really doesn't feel like that at that time. So the root of it is that you kind of like felt somebody could have been the one, or in this period you might meet somebody who will feel that person could be one, but it is reversed. When King of One is upright, this is like definitely the fellow you really want to date, or a girl to want to be with, because it's going to make you feel like $1,000,000. You're going to go places, you're going to do things, being seen, be cherished. When this person reverses, you get 2-3 dates like that, like a hardcore press, and then pff, they're gone. They disappear. The interest is just not there, and you're left to wonder what the heck happened. Wondering, oh, is this going to continue or not, right? You're being that early sign. You're saying, okay, there are pros and cons. This kind of like didn't get where I kind of like planned this to be. But look at this. On a spiritual level, you were challenging yourself. Okay, maybe I want to try this. Maybe, you know, this is something different. Yes, maybe this could be the one. So kind of like this is open-minded attitude. So it could be somebody else entering and waltzing in your life. You have lots of sevens. Sevens are, and kings. Sevens are denoting instability. Kings are denoting stability. So it is kind of like probably the bridge that you are walking and kind of like wondering where to get. So let's see what is in the core, in the heart of this reading. First we have past life relationship and Knave of Pentacles. Well, to me, past life relationship always talks about that one person who comes your way, who leaves such a big imprint on you, that you will not see it on your skin, but it is on the inside. It's going to be somebody who maybe just touched you with the way how they looked at you, the way that you had this afternoon spent with them and you saw this like big sparkle in their eye, the way, you know, their voice sounded. It's almost like in that romance you didn't even see anything going around. You could just like honestly hear the birds chirping and just like feeling like almost like that sweet happiness. But something happened, that commitment was not there. Look at this, you have the Strength reversed and you have the Chariot reversed. When this kind of person comes to your life, it is talking about karmic situation. In karmic situations, usually people don't stay because they're supposed to just pluck you out. Hey, you're on the wrong path. You ask me to come in this life and take you off the wrong path, and I'm here. Sometimes taking you off the wrong path means derailing you. So if you're in a car and you're going somewhere you're supposed to go the other way, something will stop you. And of course, if you're in this car, you will go, what the heck, why are you stopping me? But this is exactly the case. Look at, you have another 7. And when it talks about Strength reversed, it talks about aggression. It talks about somebody who is not committing. It's talking about somebody selfish. And maybe you have been subject to that. And because of that, certain things just became black and white. It could have been a trip that didn't end really well. And it could be the car accident that, you know, maybe created issues. But it could be simply that ideas were not anymore seen, you know, eye to eye. That, you know, what we agree upon when we are in a relationship, when we are in marriage, we agree that we are going to think alike, that we are agreeing to some sets of rules. They shall not cheat, they shall call when they say they call, because normal people tend to worry and tend to be protective, and hence, you know, like, I mean, you show your care. But if the person is just, you know, saying so, but not acting that way, that is a reason for concern. And I think this is what happened to you. Deception. Someone is wearing a false self-mask in this relationship. And 7 of Swords. This is the card that I hate the most in the entire deck. And it also means betrayal. And it also means deception. You know, somebody taking something away from you that is like yours. That you kind of like hoped is going to be there. Just like you hope that partner will be there. You were giving them so much unreservedly. But this also means that, you know, maybe you really even didn't know who they are. That freeing yourself was done for a reason. Because, again, a unicorn in the tiny little kind of like fence is not a fit. Here it is, everybody is pretending to be probably on their best behavior until one day they just can't. When people are under stress or strain, they actually show you their real colors. And yeah, words are important, but way more, the actions are way more important. So it is only when actions overlap with the words and they match one by one, the person can be trusted. And it is unfortunate that sometimes it takes years to get there. And even then, sometimes you see these stories like people don't even know who you are. Like it's just like a surprise with what destiny brings. So what is the key over here for you guys? Key is to stabilize. Key is to actually enjoy where you are right now. This is something that kind of is long term. Invest in yourself. So here it was kind of like, what do I do? You sort of like are intrigued enough with someone or with something. Somebody new might be coming to your life, even though you're still kind of shaking something from the past. You guys are kind of like lucky ones because you kind of like picked yourself up. Here it was like some kind of derailment and kind of like ending up in a ditch, and you said like, forget it, I'm dusting myself off, I'll keep going. In spite of this, I'm not letting this, and this shows enormous strength. Kind of like you're going to spend some time really realizing that, look, I have to take care of myself, I have to take care and enjoy everything that I do. I am that unicorn. But at the same time, you might get just bored by just simply enjoying things on your own, just like it was with that kitty sitting on that, where was it? A kitty sitting on the little box with his toys. So I guess, where is this heading? This is heading toward healing family issues. I think this is the name of the month. This is in addition with the lake, stillness, and forgiving and learning. Now the third time the message that is appearing, or fourth, because we also had a high priestess on the bottom of the deck prominently. She is the one who kind of like learns through experiencing things. It tells me that something happened to you, something that you can track back all the way back to when you were a child, when something in the family maybe got derailed. And the very same thing that you didn't get, or you hope you would get, or hope you would overcome, you were trying through different ways, and you even convinced yourself that you did it. But you didn't. Things were just getting patched up, but not healed, not completely covered. It sounds like this is the time to finally address it. This is the time where you have the temperance, and temperance is a really good news. It's that patience, and you guys can actually be patient, very patient, if you want to, bide your time. But temperance is also saying, hello, it is the right time, it is the right place, it is the right person. Keep going. Oh my gosh, this is really good. Yes, it's kind of like you will be moving forward. You will be part of rebuilding, whether yourself or life with someone. But I really more or less see that it's going to be yourself, because there is like that sense of, okay, certain things have been lost, and there is like still mourning over somebody. And I think this is like that King of Pentacles, which could be you. Maybe you feel you kind of have lost yourself in the process of your life, and now you need to separate yourself from what it was and rebuild yourself. The sadness is there, but sadness is not that easy to erase. And honestly, I'm also seeing that maybe some of you have the sadness because somebody else put their fingers on somebody in a situation. I do see the third party over here at this point. So that's going to be one of the things that needs to be dealt with. Somebody was too playful, and too playful, which kind of was hurtful to somebody, or even to several people. You know, being caught in a situation where you're blindsided, where, you know, somebody takes you for granted, or where you have these high hopes and somebody just like pulls the rags under your feet saying, well, you know, I just, you know, never thought it was serious. How people can be very kind of like ruthless and cruel, right? I think was the name of the day. And there is like this conflict, there is like a breakup, there is like huge amount of hurt. And it is the hurt that really grips the heart, you know? Oh boy, look at all this thinking. Well, some of you are having your family affected. It's kind of really weird because it looks like you wanted to do everything for the family. That 10 of Cups that we got there was, I will give the shirt off my back, even though you knew that you have to be reserved. And here I see this trust, and you keep going. Maybe somebody here forgotten to tell you while I'm married or I'm in a relationship, and they keep kind of like calling you and surprising you and being so nice and lovely when with you. But then, evening comes, weekend comes, they vanish. You know, actions, actions, actions. Check the stuff is going to start giving you the answers. So here this is telling me that was kind of like some kind of fear, whether it was like freezing fear on your part or freezing fear on their part. Something has been covered in this situation, something you either couldn't see or you didn't see, and it was something relating to the family, whether yours or theirs. Somebody's pretending to be happy. You know, it happens that sometimes, for example, a person is going through a ordeal of their own, and how they deal with this, instead of sitting home and crying like most of us kind of like get in touch with that, like they go out and they kind of reactivate. They don't want to feel the pain. They're literally running away from their pain. So they look very appealing because of this go, go, go nature. They feel like adventurous, right? Energetic. It is kind of like really that fire that kind of like appeals, especially when we are dating. It might be too much for everyday life. But at that time, wow, this person must be in me, because we always judge good dates by the amount of fire that is kind of like involved. Maybe that fire is just to cover the water, because if there is water, in order to fire to work, right, the tears, you have to just generate more and more fire. And then one day, gee, sorry, you know, I just made up with my old lady, with my old man, something like that. On the other hand, you really feel, and maybe you have two options. Maybe there is somebody from the past, and maybe there is somebody in the future. Because here this is telling me that you're still feeling that you're waiting for someone. You're waiting for this divine timing, and that's this past life. You kind of recognize your soulmate. You recognize your karmic soulmate. And it is like, turn the light on. Somebody turned the switch on in you. And you're saying, never mind. I don't care. I'll freeze. I'll stay here forever. And I'm going to just be here. And the Knight of Pentacles tells me, hey, you're missing some kind of details in this story. The details are important. Check the details. Check the facts. Turn every stone. That would be you guys. But you are stubborn. Taurus stubborn. Would that fit together? So Queen of Pentacles, you guys are actually coming back to your senses. You guys are starting to feel pretty. You're starting to feel empowered. You're starting to feel sexy. And you're saying, you know what? I know what I want. And I have been damaged. I have been injured. My heart has been crushed. And you know what? I am going for what I want. And this is kind of like really a strong feature of earth signs, a strong feature of Taurus, where that enormous strength. And I think I discovered that my black kitty is actually Taurus. I thought he was Scorpio. Well, I declare him Scorpio. It's the opposite. So I guess it's the same tangent. Because I found him on the Halloween. But of course I realized that probably he was, you know, some kind of like older kitten. I think he was like a year and a half old then. But yeah, I recently started to look like that Chicago bull right in front of there, like I'm in stock market, and he starts to have this kind of shoulders. And it is kind of just amazing, the persistence, the steadiness, to kind of like really observe. And this is really big because this talks about renewed optimism in face of obstacles, in face of tears, in face of devastation, in face of being let down. But at the same time, you are able to see, well, I have been let down, but I am not defeated, and that's a huge difference that you are acknowledging. So, hello, you're being rewarded. There is like this King of Cups attraction. It could be a water sign. It could be just somebody who quietly enters your world. King of Cups is not one of those flashy people like King of Wands. He's not like you, like King of Pentacles or Queen of Pentacles. King of Cups kind of like has these dreamy eyes and always like feel very comfortable, like the most comfy shoe and kind of like jammies that you might have. It's sort of like almost like feeling like a buddy, feeling like a grandma, feeling like a ma. And it's not generally the person that we would initially notice. This is a person who really we would kind of like put in the friend zone. But this person is like so afraid of showing or pushing forward because they can be easily hurt. And they're really, really protecting that. But they are going to show you with actions. They're going to show you how steady they are and how loving they are. So keep an eye, but there is like somebody who is very attracted to you. And it could be somebody who you would meet in a garden. It would be somebody who you would meet high matrix around some kind of like water, body of water. But definitely look for these characteristics that I have told you. It could be somebody who was recently divorced, or if you guys are the ones divorcing, this guy is going to be a soft place to fall, and it's going to kind of like really be there for you. When the Justice comes reversed, an Ace of Cups, the Justice reversed means something will feel undeserving, something will feel unjust, but justice always gets served. Remember that. And this card is also saying do not take justice in your own hands. Maybe this person is just going to be very emotional but this person will be open to something new. The question is if you guys are. I think that you are the ones blocking this progress. Whether you're not ready, whether you are deciding this is my box and I don't want anybody in this box, I don't want to play with anybody. You have to go through your own healing and you have to go through your own forgiving. And forgiving, I don't kind of like sign and prescribe this concept, oh, just like forgive and forget. That's crazy. Forgive to you yourself why you went through all of that, because we have this like big question mark. Why did this happen? For which reason? Right? Why did you hurt me? We always wonder. People are jerks. What can I tell you? It is not a solution to try to dominate, control people. We fix signs, try to control everything because we want to be responsible. We want to be known as responsible people. People do all kinds of crazy things. Well, a few days ago, the woman went to Tim Hortons and she was throwing feces at people over there. So why people do that? Who knows? Who knows, right? The point is that we need to be strong enough to withhold anything, to be able to handle anything. You guys are very protective and you guys are very loving. And when you're being hurt, it's like really, really getting deep inside, but you guys are not defeated. So these are your hopes and fears. And talking about trust, yes, but this is like betrayal, trust betrayal. Let's see. Oh boy, the Tower, Ace of Swords. You are learning to trust again. You're learning to trust again in spite of being cheated on, being abused, and this can go all the way back to being a little child where, let's say, you have been abused, and it basically happened to many of us. then you grow up. Well, we are people and we don't basically get hit in normal life, especially not us in North America. But that is like still the place that is like vulnerable, that is soft. It's kind of like we still work that issue through the partners we choose. Maybe they're like, equally abusive of a different kind, because we have to work these issues out. And this is a really good time to work these issues, and kind of like it's going to be conversation. Hey, are we on the same page or what? Here you're saying, you know what, let it collapse, let's rock. Whatever is not said properly, let it go to hell. I don't care. I can totally feel you, Taurus, saying that. You go to hell, you and your stuff, and, don't let the door hit you on your way out. You are seeking your own truth, and you are moving forward. You're moving forward with this King of Cups, this beautiful lady or this beautiful guy, and you're kind of like realizing that maybe you have been chasing some kind of like stars, and maybe you kind of like want to make this a little bit more contractual, kind of, hey, are we liking this? Are we liking this? Kind of like, maybe sounds like boring, but it's not going to be these like big highs of love, because that's maybe not even love. That's kind of like craziness and pheromones. But let's go down to grounds. Like, if somebody who is complete jerk can screw me up, let's kind of like check somebody who at least kind of like has certain things in common with me, so at least I'm going to enjoy the ride better. So here it's talking about, yeah, you will be developing this chemistry. It's going to be a really huge attraction with someone, and that can be, yes, it could be somebody who really initially might not come on very strong, but it could be also a water sign or fire sign for you that I see. In particular would be also Leo or Aries, even though you have the Sagittarius here as well. So that is kind of like really prominent here in your chart. You're kind of like moving on, moving to the next level. You're having another 4 years, 3 4s, like you're stabilizing in this period. You're stabilizing in a sense like no more shit. And excuse my language, you know that I don't like to use bad language. You kind of realize that all the sacrifices you have made, kind of like very important. You're getting out of this cold period. You're getting out of the freeze. You are kind of like realizing how people could see it. You get that, but it doesn't mean that you want to stick around. Doesn't mean that you want to be there for wreckage, and doesn't mean that you're going to allow anybody to walk over you. The Hangman is really reaching that higher level of understanding, self-understanding, self-appreciation, as well as appreciation of the others. Hangman also means understanding where we did go wrong and what we need to hold ourselves accountable for in order for not to make the same mistake in the next relationship. Because the Hangman also talks about creativity. It talks about opening your third eye. It talks about resolving issues. It talks about simply sometimes sacrificing one thing or one person for a much better outcome on the other side. I have taken one more card for you, Taurus, and because you're last, I'm giving you extended reading. And the card that came out was Flying reversed. So let me read this for you. It says, when you see the flying card reversed, it is a gentle reminder that there are times to take flight and times to remain grounded. And for now, you must avoid overreaching. There is still work to be done before you earn your wings. Be patient. What you seek will not be out of reach forever. Remember the story of Icarus in Greek mythology, whose wax-made wings and overconfidence brought him too close to the sun. He perished because he didn't realize his limitations. Humility is a great power, and now you must exercise it. Doing too much too fast too soon only serves to prevent a beautiful flight later on. So Taurus, I think this is quite a bit about grounding. It's quite a bit about understanding yourself, understanding what needs to be sacrificed, and then moving forward, kind of like severing anything unhealthy, and also fighting for what you rightfully deserve. Lovely reading. So Taurus, general reading, if you want yours, contact me at cattarot.ca. This doesn't have to be you. And also, I would really appreciate a lot of your comments. I appreciate your likes. And if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe, because then you're going to be notified about the live sessions. All the best. Love you. Talk to you soon.